Hi, I'm Todd Wente, and this is the Daily 180 180 seconds of motivation and inspiration intended to help you take action and make progress in your life. This is episode 704 of the Daily 180, and my goodness, just excited about the restart that we've had here and the opportunities that we've had as we've been going through and starting to get things going again. Today, I want to talk about something that it's not new. I'm not sure that anything that I ever say on this medium, on this format, is ever going to be considered new. They've been thoughts that have been had by millions of others over thousands of years of human history. Uh, but when they become salient, when they become relevant in and germane in my own life, then they become interesting, they become powerful, they become drivers for action. And so, what I'm going to share today is kind of driving some action for me, and I figure I want to share it. It goes along with some things that we were talking about earlier about seeing yourself as having the power or seeing the situation as having the power. Which one is going to be the relevant object? And in this case, it grew out of a conversation that I was having with my son. We were talking about some people that we know that are. Uh, well, they're struggling. We've seen some different relationships, and people are struggling with each other, struggling to figure out how to make things work, struggling to figure out how to keep a relationship together, and some of them are ending in divorce. And as we were having this conversation, one of the things that I mentioned to him is from my position. Yeah, we can point this conversation. One of the things that I mentioned to him is from my position. Yeah, we can point at all kinds of things. We can say, well, money problems drove them apart, or infidelity drove them apart, or whatever drove them apart. And the reality is that while that is while that can be true, while we can point to that as a cause, I think there's a bigger thing involved. Uh, Probably decades ago, 3 decades ago, I came across a little book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And he in probably a book, just tiny, tiny, tiny little treatise, more of a pamphlet than a book. But I got it as a small book, one you could fit in your pocket. I've read it probably 100 times. I probably need to read it again. But in that book, he talked about the effect that our thoughts had on our circumstances. Not necessarily that we are going to cause our circumstances, but that when we think about things often enough, we wind up bringing them, manifesting them is the term that we would use today. James Allen was talking about this in the late 1800s. Now we talk about manifesting and vibrations and all those kinds of things, and I think they're all connected. This idea that which we persist in it comes around. In fact, James Allen said had a couple of thoughts, a couple of quotes. To desire is to obtain, to aspire is to achieve, and all that a man achieves and all that he fails to achieve is the direct result of his own thoughts. Now, at first blush, this would say, well, okay, what are the thoughts then that we can attribute all of these things to? And I said to my son something that has continued to be on my mind afterwards. And what I said was, I think somewhere, we can point to specific things that are going on in different people's relationships as to be the reasons or the causes or whatever. I said, but I think that at the beginning of that, what really is going on is they stopped chasing each other. They got each other. When they were dating, they were chasing each other. When they were courting, they were chasing each other. And in the early years of their marriage, the early months of their marriage, they were still chasing each other. And then something happens. Something just flips. And we all experience it. All of us who have been through a relationship, for crying out loud, anybody who's been on a vacation has experienced this. You get the thing that you're pursuing, and then all of a sudden you're in sustain mode. And sustain mode doesn't carry with it the same kind of energy, the same kind of passion that chase mode does. We see it in professional teams. There are professional coaches that talk about the fact that they would much rather be number two than number one, because if you're number two, you have someone to chase. If you're number one, everyone is chasing you. And so what do you chase at that point? You chase records, you chase, all kinds. And professional teams, high performing teams, they deal with this all the time. Do we? Do I? What I've been saying to myself, and I've recently gotten back on the bike. I had a year where I didn't spend a lot of time on the bike, and I've gotten back on the bike. I've also got a couple of things that I'm starting to chase again, and there's excitement and energy and passion in the chase. But when we're trying to sustain things, there's just not that much there. So I guess my message to you today, the takeaway that I would give you, is if there is something that you've been thinking about chasing, start chasing it. Create it in your mind. Create the process in your mind by which you can chase it. Whether it's a vacation, put it on the calendar and start chasing it. If it's a special achievement that you want to do at work or in your personal life, put it on a calendar someplace. Put it and start chasing it. Don't think about it. Don't consider it, chase it. And I think that as you chase, you'll find that energy and passion, dedication, discipline, all of those things start to add on top. But we have to start the chase first. I hope this is useful for you. I know it's been very powerful for me and very interesting as I've been considering it. And I hope you'll be able to share this. If the video is useful for you, please share it with other people. Hopefully, on this journey. Uh, in the meantime, my name is Todd Wente. This has been the Daily 180. Nulum Diem. We'll see you next time.